How's it going, folks? Don't know if you can make it out or not, but there's a number of eagles flying around the sky up there. I count 4. So yeah, just little black dots for you guys. I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update on what we've been up to over the last week or so. Starting out with some vetiver grass. Yeah, this vetiver grass we got from Mob in Caboolture. What we're hoping to do with this is basically create a bit of a living swale just above that erosion point there. It goes around and hopefully, depending on how many plants, sort of tries to deliver the water down there into that dam there. So that was the main idea about grabbing these guys. We asked for 50 slips, we got a few more. We did ask for some doubles, but we got a bit of a mixed bag. We've got some doubles like this one here. Doubles meaning double growth points. So we've got that growth point, and this section here. Actually, no, that's a triple. That section there is still alive, so that's a triple. This one here is just a single. It just has a single shoot coming up from it. So thank you very much to Erica and Andrew for sorting us out with that. And they also donated a large clump to the cause. So that's just been planted out there in a terracotta pot we've had for years and never used. So yeah, that one there, we might divide later on. We'll just have to wait and see. But these guys here are just sitting in some water until I can sort out somewhere for them to go. So time to collect an egg from Sweet Ginger. Thank you, Ginger. And give you a bit of an update on what's going on with the chicken coop. So not much has changed since you last saw this in the previous video. I haven't gotten around to taking off the doors or cutting off these ends just as of yet, or removing that swing gate. We are going to have a bit of a problem moving it, just Bianca and I. We don't have a tractor with a front end loader on it or any way to lift it. And we do have a sneaking suspicion she may be a little bit wobbly down this side here. There's a bit of a bow in the wall. Up here they've welded in this brace, and you'll see what I've brought up from Dad in a minute. But yeah, we're thinking about welding another brace down the end. Now we have some more bits and pieces to go with the welder. Just need to get some sticks. So yeah, once that's more secure and we cut off these bottom bits, we're going to wait for some family members to come up in a couple of weeks' time, Maya and Ahanu. They're hopefully rope them into a little bit of manual labour and get this thing moved. The other option is just to leave it in situ, but we really don't want it here. We really would like it over in that paddock there. By the way, we met one of the neighbours through the week. He decided to come over for a bit of a visit. So it appears our cattle operation has just got off to a flying start. We have a bull. It's actually next doors. He's there happily eating, yeah, rat tail grass as it would be. But yeah, he's just visiting from next door. So got a bit of a shock when I saw the chickens come over here and Jack start to get a little bit narky. So I thought I'd come out and walk him over for Ollie up towards the break in the fence. Come on, buddy. So that was a bit of a surprise. Luckily, Aussie is a pretty mild-tempered bull, so it's easy to walk back down the fence line back over to Ollie's, where there's a gate between the two properties. Now I'll show you a bit of kit we picked up down in Brizzy. We've scared off the chookins, but not Chicky. She's going to have a crack at Jack. Jack, leave her alone. Yeah, we brought up some black turmeric as well. So that'll go over in the hopefully cleaned out soon garden area along with that vetiver. Now, the hot water system you folks saw was actually part of a trial. There was a series of hot water systems were tested out by some chaps for a project, and this one here is just superfluous to their needs. And they also had some unopened panels. Now, they did this testing a couple of years ago and has just been sitting there collecting dust. So they decided to donate it to the cause. Bob's been a long-term supporter of the channel. Cheers, mate, if you ever see this. So the idea is we want to set up some new rainwater tanks. First, we've got to move the clothesline, put down a concrete slab, and we're going to oversize it a little bit. So then after the tanks go in, we can put the solar hot water panels on the end facing north, which is the direction of our winter sun. And that way we can have the solar hot water tank pretty much all sitting where the existing one is at the moment. I also brought up my father's jack. Yeah, Dad is an engineer by trade, or boilermaker, fitter and turner, as well as other stuff. And this was a track that I remember being jacked up on as a kid. with my brother and attempting to push each other around the workshop, which was very hard because it's a very heavy jack. It's actually seized in this position. One of our nephews raised it up, seeing if it still worked, and we haven't been able to get it to lower again, so we just think it's a little bit gummed up in the works there. So Bianca wants to have a crack at releasing this just with some WD-40 or some sort of penetrating oil, see if we can get it working. She said she wouldn't mind breaking it down and painting it again. So we'll see if she ends up doing that. But yeah, this will definitely come in handy when it comes to working on the tractor, especially the front end, because we do need a few bits and pieces removed. Actually, we'll head up to the shed now. So one of the first jobs for the jack will be to fix this. Obviously something's cracked there, and they have welded the spindle shaft, which comes up from the hub straight up into here, and they've welded that onto the steering arm. So we need a new spindle and a new steering arm. And the reason being is we think that's it is canted in a little bit. We could possibly fix the steering at the back, but we really need that replaced. In fact, we probably need this one replaced as well, because that is very loose. You can actually see a gap down in there. So that jack will come in handy lifting this up at the front. There is one other issue we are having with the tractor at the moment. That's why the paddocks aren't slashed. Having a power steering issue. So Craig helped us out with that. Thank you very much, mate. You're a champ. The steering is sticking, but it's sticking randomly in different spots. Generally speaking, if it's sticking in the same spot all the time, it's something mechanical. But if it's just randomly sticking, Craig pointed out that it's probably a clogged pump filter screen. So yeah, I need to get in there and work that out. Craig's got a history in farming and excavation work, so I tend to trust what he's talking about. So that is something that I need to get into. We do have the manuals, the maintenance manuals, as well as the workshop repair manual. The main reason this hasn't been done yet is basically the oil is a bit expensive at the moment, and I don't want to drop all the oil and have it sit there dry until we can afford it. So I'd rather drop the oil and replace it after I clean the filter and whatever. So we just don't run into any issues down the track. I did bring up a load of gear from my father's backyard. This tool bag had a few spanners and bits and pieces in it, but I'll just show you roughly. Whole container. These are just MIG wire reels. Once they were finished, Dad'd just clean them down and use them as storage. Just with a pipe in the center. So a whole heap of air fittings in this one, everything down to the pneumatic air fittings, similar to what you use on your, say, water filter under the sink. Got a load of hammers, which always come in handy. So we'll have one for every shed and the house, the claw hammer wise. But yeah, the other, you can tell he liked to mark stuff, so he didn't lose it. So the other hammers will be useful around the place. I've already snaggled one for the toolbox on the tractor for removing pins. We also got Dad's little rock hammer. From memory, Dad said he got this from the bloke out the back, a mate of his that passed. So it was a little bit of a keepsake for Dad, I think. And it was always wrapped in a cloth and always nice and shiny. So yeah, just over the last couple of years, she's gotten a little bit of rust on it. And Bianca is a keen geologist of sorts, so she's definitely going to appreciate that. I also grabbed a few air tools. We've got some spanners, air spanner, a drill, and over in this little unit here, an old air saw. It's even got the old fittings on it. Dad hadn't swapped everything over to the newer style. Now, luckily this one comes with a couple of packets of blades, because I don't know if these blades are made anymore. I don't actually remember seeing that in his workshop, so I think that was something later after I finished working with him. And one of the things I found was my old school bag. Also turned into a Hot Wheel and a Lego bag as a kid, but that was my primary school bag. And it was just an assortment of tools he must have just had packed in there for working around the house. Got myself a couple of tyre levers. Would have come in handy the other day. A couple of welding helmets. Didn't have any welding helmets before this, so yeah, even though we got the welder, it's no use without any rods or helmets. So one each of them for Bianca and I. I think one of the lenses is a bit dodgy, so that needs to be swapped over. I also grabbed a braid nailer for the air compressor. Bianca will appreciate that. Got air chisel. I love these. I used to break down the 44s for Dad. So those 44s we have for the biochar, this will make very quick work of that rather than using a grinder and using up grinding wheels and that. There are some air tools here. None specifically for that though. That one's very blunt. It looks like it's been used on masonry or something. But I found these sitting in a paint can full of water. I'm out in the back shed from where a roof had leaked, but I'm fairly sure I do have some chisels for the air chisel somewhere, and I've got fittings for it. And the other thing that will come in handy is a Repco. Repco is just like it's a generic car parts brand here in Australia that's sort of grown into tools and that over the years. I remember they're going in and getting brake pads with Dad as a whippersnapper down in Sydney. But yeah, it's got oil applicator, air gun, tyre, spray can, and a expandable hose. That'll come in handy. So yeah, it's just sitting there collecting dust. Dementia is a bit of an evil beast. Yeah, so some other bits and pieces, some large, not that I think we need it, but I don't think my sister and brother need them at the moment. But I got some of the larger size sockets with a larger head for the bar. There's some more of them down there. I haven't come across anything yet on the tractor this large, but I dare say when we get excavators and other bits and pieces, they may come in handy. Some of the larger ring spanners and sockets, some of this size, 1.5 inch and stuff like that will come in handy. And he even labelled that. So yeah, definitely a good little find. And I wish I had this the other week, a ratcheted tap holder. So yeah, forward, reverse, and yeah, could have come in handy when tapping out the mower. But yeah, there's some of the bits. Oh, and a nice little tool bag. So there's some of the bits we got this trip down. Previous trips, one of the good things that we found was this little beauty. Even though it's only an Aldi brand, it will definitely come in handy if we need to go through some of the concrete. We've already tried it out, and it will get used around here a fair bit, I dare say, with some of the projects Bianca has planned and other bits and pieces I want to do. So that was a nice little score. But yeah, yeah, down at Dad's, trying to just clean out all his tools basically, so Mum can reclaim the backyard and actually go out there other than hanging up washing. It's a real mess. I made friends with another possum, another little brush tail this time around, and its offspring. Hello possum, there's Mama. And I think that's last year's baby over the back there. So there we go. You going to get angry? I'd be angry. No. But yeah, we really need to get in there, so I will be going down in a couple of weeks and doing a concerted effort, after Bianca's holidays, concerted effort to clean a lot of that stuff out. And whatever my siblings can't use, I'll be bringing up here to use if they're useful for us. And Jack, leave the lizards alone, buddy. So I do hope you enjoyed this extra long video. We were supposed to have our normal monthly catch-up hangout with you good folks out there in the YouTube community. Bianca's just still down in Brisbane, so we couldn't get around to it this time. She should be up on Saturday, which is also election day. And yeah, with Kira's driving her up. So maybe next weekend we might do something. Definitely got a supporters hangout next weekend, that is for sure. So I will leave it there. I do hope you're all well and happy. Enjoying gardens and farms, and aquaponics are booming. And I'll catch you next video along with Bianca. Cheers all, have a top one.